Hey, everybody. Don't look at me like that. I'm Yvonne. I'm a reporter with the LA Times, and he's already starting, making me laugh. Today's Emmy contender conversation is with Thomas Middleditch, who plays the genius, socially awkward man boy on HBO Silicon Valley. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I think, though, that we...
Do I have the green light to lean in?
You can lean in now.
We had a great discussion about how I should be in the shot.
I kind of felt, though, that you maybe wanted to veer things off into analyzing The Bachelorette.
Yeah, if we have time.
Do that.
Do we have time?
I think we do. If that's where you want to go with this.
However, yeah. What do you want to talk about? You don't watch the show.
I don't watch the show.
So then it'll just be me talking about how I'm just rooting for Kaylin. And so what if she had sex? Why a woman can't have sex? Don't turn this into the whole slut versus player debate. She's empowered. It's 2015. She's allowed to.
How do you watch The Bachelorette? On
a television with my tushy on the couch.
You're not a cord cutter.
What's a cord cutter?
Oh my God. Stop.
I'm kind of like new to the Bachelor scene. So what's a cord cutter?
No, I was like, do you have a TV and are not watching?
Oh, a cord cutter. Yeah. Am I off the grid completely?
I was like, wait, you're on Silicon Valley. Oh my God.
No, I have a TV.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. It's nice TV. It's the TV that I bet a lot of people would really want, but they can't have it because it's mine. Signed it. Weird. Where is this going?
I kind of wanted to start, though, before we get right into the show Silicon Valley. How did Ren Fair go?
Oh,
you had a costume. Please share with the viewers.
Do you have it on? Can you cut to the clip?
I wish we had a
Roll the clip.
Yeah.
It's on Instagram. You go to my Instagram at Tom Beanie. And it's, it is on there.
You seemed really psyched about it the last time we
talked.
Always
Psyched about the Ren Fair, the Los Angeles Pleasure Fair. And here's the thing: I upped my game costume-wise. It was really escalating. But the weather turned sour. We had like the only tsunami level storm in California, and we just got rained out.
Water,
I know. It was bittersweet because I was like, this is bumming out the day, but we need 50 more of these.
You should have wore the costume here.
Yeah, I should have. What a dummy I am for not wearing my garb.
What was the costume like?
Well, I had a white sort of cotton sort of little shirt, button-up shirt. That was the only place. It was a modern piece, but it fit sort of. I was disappointed in it. Then I had like a brown, padded tunic. It was great. A gambeson is the real term.
Okay.
If you know.
Do you know your stuff? No. I don't watch The Bachelor.
Yeah, you don't watch The Bachelor, therefore you don't know what a gambeson is.
I
love it in the idea of The Bachelor teaches you what some period costume piece is.
It's not the connection I was
going
for, but
it's a Rivaldo. And this is the gambeson. These are some.
Do you think the guys of Silicon Valley go to stuff like the Ren Fair?
Well, I know that they don't. Zach Woods tried to make it out there, but he had a car accident, which is not funny, but I mean, it ended up being harmless. But so he met us in civvies, not garb.
Not garb.
Panicked. But then we all had a meal at the old spaghetti factory. I wish that were a joke, but that's the name of a real place.
It is.
And
it's an institution here.
I guess.
It is.
Yeah, old spaghetti factory.
I was going to say my grandma always had her birthday parties there. Okay.
You can get spaghetti
we should probably get on topic here.
I think these people want to know what's going on. I think we want. No, I'm gonna.
They told us to have a conversation.
Yeah, let's actually. It's Old Spaghetti Factory. I will say it was funny because everybody got rained out, right? So we went to the Old Spaghetti Factory and they were it was taken over by people from the Ren Fair. So it's all these people in costumes eating tons of spaghetti.
With utensils or without?
Yeah, with utensils. Okay. Without? What, a bolognese?
I don't know. I'm just saying. Okay,
let's talk savages.
Let's talk about Silicon Valley because our bosses are going to be mad.
Our bosses? Y'all ain't a boss of me.
The stakes were really high this season, and we're not over yet. Talk a little bit about going into the second season and what you were hoping to see from Richard and how much of that has played out so far.
Oh, I don't know if I had any hopes. I think my hopes were, sometimes with shows like this, Richard has a lot of the emotional weight of driving force of each episode. It's like he's the guy that's got to be like, no, like this is my life and it's gonna get ruined and stuff like that. And so you potentially could run the risk of like, okay, jokes go to everyone else and then story goes to this guy. And I'm thankful the writers have given me at least a couple things to do.
Yes.
So that was my only hope, and it's been met. But essentially this season's kind of about Richard putting his big boy pants on. Like, okay, so they won TechCrunch. Now everybody knows them and wants them. And so it's like, okay, you're up to the plate, swing, which is a great metaphor for the first episode. Oh my God. Because he doesn't, he's too scared. Oh, I'm so goddamn brilliant. But,
oh my God.
But yeah, I think, well, pretty shortly on, like first episode, the lawsuit comes in, and then so he's just got a lot of, more money, more problems.
Well, and when he's trying to pitch investors and trying to assert himself, he's not the best at doing that, and
of course not.
He fumbles and he bumbles.
Exactly.
And talk about those scenes.
I guess I'm hoping. It'd be cool. Is it's sort of like a Walter White situation. Like by the end of season 5, if we manage to go that long, he's Russ Hanneman, where he's like, I'm part of the 3 Comma Club, baby, and he's just a total monster. So maybe we're watching. This is a Breaking Bad moment.
Well, and everyone was talking about how it's finally like evident that his character was based off Mark Cuban with the clicking and stuff. Yeah. Do you keep track of like how people are looking at every detail and trying to piece together who is a mixture of who?
No, I couldn't say I'm like keeping track of it. The only sort of like reminder of that is when like people will come up to me like, that is my life. You've taken a story from my life somehow and you've read my mind. Yeah. Either it's as specific as that, or I think even people that just work in an office environment sometimes are like, yeah, our boss brought in a SWAT board and it was really weird. And that's what's happening. So
I haven't reached that level here yet.
Yeah, guys, you guys might want to consider the SWAT board.
We should get the SWAT board.
To this interview. Threats.
Back here.
Yeah. Right you've got it up. You're like, I don't think I'm supposed to see that.
What are some of the other like reactions that you get when you're walking down the street? Like, are they quoting the show, or what are some of the common?
Yeah, they quote the show, especially after season 1 with that dick to floor ratio.
Are you constantly being asked the D to F ratio?
No.
Censor.
No. Yeah. I don't get asked like what my D to F ratio is. That's
TJ was saying he gets that asked a lot. Yeah.
Yes. But people know that if they ask me that, I take a violent response. So I think the world knows.
The world. Oh, sorry. I'm so out of touch.
Yeah. You got to get in touch with my violent streak.
Sorry.
They'd reference different things like that. I think people, like I'm not in the Silicon Valley like tech world myself, but like I do have a foot in the water of that. Like I play a lot of video games and obviously go to Ren fairs and stuff. So I have like my nerd cred, although I don't know how to program. I think a lot of people are kind of stoked to get like, oh, he's not like he's invested in some way to like us. I think that's the only sort of validation I get.
Do you feel compelled though to like read these sites that keep track of the tech news, or?
I'm too busy playing video games.
What's the game you're playing right now?
I hate that question so much.
Why?
Because if I don't say Mario Kart, you're gonna be like, I don't know what that is. Like a minute.
I would respond exactly like that.
Yeah, so why ask it?
I didn't even know what Mario Kart was, so sorry.
I hate that question.
I'm sorry.
Unless you are like really deep into PC gaming, don't ask me the question.
But the viewers
because
will
I can't
know.
say like I can't. This conversation can be like cool suddenly if I'm like, oh, I'm playing Pillars of Eternity. Yeah, I just got Cadnoa, the keep there, the stronghold there. But Defiance Bay is turning out to be a real dilly of a pickle. The quest log is amazing.
I want to play a video game with you now.
Well, you can. Like? You go. You can sort of. I'm doing this thing called Twitch.
You told me about Twitch. Yeah, are you liking it?
It's cool. It's interesting. It sort of takes it kind of takes some of the video games and puts it into like the category of work, which is weird. So I don't like broadcast all the time. But it has been fun. Like people are down and it's all very positive and I look at it like this, like I'll do a show at UCB or something like that, and I'll be entertaining, I don't know, 100, 120 people on that one night, and I can log on to Twitch for a few hours and entertain 1,000 people. If you can imagine a number that big,
it's huge.
It's pretty big.
It's huge.
A lot of people can't even count that high. Like people under 2 like can't even dream of it.
Oh my God, you're so not like Richard at all.
That's what people think.
I told you that too because I was a little nervous going into our interview for a print piece
this guy's gonna be so awkward.
Yeah, I was like, how am I gonna do this? And
it turns out I'm really cool.
You are really cool.
I'm like a hilarious.
We lost your dogs.
Guy.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't get cooler than that.
Yeah, that was exceedingly cool.
Do people often wonder if you're like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a common reaction. I mean, that's the thing. Is like I think to everybody else, they see the show, and it almost appears as if like I just started my career the day before I got the show. Or the fact of the matter is, I've been doing comedy for like 15 years, and like I'm typically the character guy, the crazy guy, like the walk, like in an improv show, I'm walking on as like, I'm a talking boner, you know, and I'm like, do my little bit, and everyone's like, oh, boner, and I'm like, well, you know, like that's usually what I'm doing. I'm going,
you want to be though, yeah.
I'm going on stage doing like impressions of Daniel Plainview and all that kind of stuff. From There Would Be Bloody Lie, and like, so when it's not like fidgety old Richard, people are a little surprised. I take that as a compliment because then that means I'm fooling you adequately, which is good because it's all about trickery.
It's all about trickery.
Acting is about trickery.
Craft. Are you a method actor?
Well, I don't know. No, probably not.
Well, talk about how this all sort of came to be, your relationship with Mike and John and Dave, and you guys had worked on a pilot together. I want you to do a voice from that pilot. That's what I'm getting at. But talk a little bit about how far back you guys go.
Well, I think it's a pretty good example of how serendipitous or like how happenstance the business can be. So this is years ago, I had made this, I was doing comedy in New York City, just like randomly. I would go up and like alienate half the crowd by doing Daniel Plainview just for like 15 minutes. And like, everyone's like, oh, this is just so boring. Except one guy who like loves the movie is like, finally. And so I remember I made this audio sketch of like 3 teenage girls like talking in a car. And there'd be 2 girls who are kind of on the same page and one girl her name's Coral. She's a little unfortunate, and her voice was like down here. Like I altered all the voices, so they'd be like, "Oh my God, Byron is so cute," and like I pitched them up, and then Coral would be like, "I think he's okay," and then I'll be like, "Shut up, Coral! Shut the fuck up, God, you're so ugly," and she's like, "Oh," like it's so stupid, but that was the car, and then. Whatever. I played that actually after I'm Daniel Plainview and I'm like doing this and I'm like, and now this. And I played that and it was horrible, obviously. And then my manager said, that's funny. She knew I draw and stuff. She's like, you should animate that. I was like, no way. And it took like an hour. It took like a year.
Like,
get this, an hour. That was the longest time I can think of. That and the number 1,000. It took me a year to sort of get on board. And I sort of drew drawings to the thing, and it was like these 3 girls in a car talking about Byron, who's really hot. And then I met with a few people, and one of the people I met with was John Altshuler and Dave Krinsky, and they were like, "We love it. It just so happens like the drawings are kind of Mike Judgy in a way." I guess I was like really inspired at that point, and. They were saying, as a matter of fact, it's like Beavis and Butthead's coming back to MTV. Let's like sell this to MTV together, and it did. Made a whole pilot. It was like, it didn't get to air, but I thought the pilot was great. But anyway, it didn't happen. But that because during the process of that, they were saying, "Hey, HBO's getting us to write this show about Silicon Valley, and we're writing it with you in mind as the lead." And you hear that as an actor, and you're like, "Yeah, right." I mean, again, I've been doing this for a long time. You hear that, you're like, okay, I'll believe it when I see it, I guess. And I still had to audition and everything, but it all worked out, which is great.
What was that audition like? What did Do you remember going in what direction you were given or what you brought to it initially?
Yeah, I was gonna do what I was gonna do. It was the audition was when you get to a certain point in auditioning, you test, right? You go in front of the network, and it's probably in some weird room, and it's probably just like a quarter foot filled with people, and they're like, they're evaluating you to see if they can change your life forever.
But were you more socially awkward in your portrayal, or like?
You know what? Like the thing is like I think even if Richard, like, is like the main guy, if he's too much on the spectrum, then you're like playing this condition. Like you're like watching this poor fellow with Asperger's like overcome all this stuff, and it's like it's not you make him a little bit more alienating. Not that anyone with Asperger's is alienating. Well, potentially in social situations. What am I saying? But anyway, and I was like, eyes roll back. And I'm a warg. My point is, we were just trying to find the balance of that, because there's a lot of comedy in awkward situations and stuff like that. But you don't want him to be like, don't touch me, like crazy. But yeah,
throwing up seems to be his thing, though.
Throwing up is.
And you said it wasn't that bad, right?
What?
The throwing up part.
Oh yeah, it's clutch.
It's clutch.
It's so cush. They do, for at least the first season, they're doing, those naked fruit smoothies. They put naked fruit smoothie in with like banana chunks in it. It was delicious.
It was tasty.
Yeah. I was like just swallowing it. Be like, can I have another? It's yummy. Just a blast of sugar.
Getting all your nutrients.
Yeah. It was great. But that's actually taken from Mike Judge's life. He used to get panic attacks, and so much so that he'd like puke, and or maybe it happened like a couple times. It wasn't an epidemic, but like and all the symptoms that I tried to convey were things that he was telling me that happened to him. So it's borrowed from, all the bits are borrowed from everyone's lives.
Well, one viewer who is my mom.
One viewer named Donald Sutherland happens to not agree with a few things on the show. Item A, I'm paid to say this. This is in a world where Donald Sutherland has influenced the LA Times with his contributions.
I don't know what's happening.
No one does. There's an accident outside.
Everything's wrong. But my mom's like, why? I want him to win. I want something to go right for Richard. How do you feel? And will something go right before the season ends?
Kinda. Of course. Well, that's the thing. Well, it
can't keep going wrong for too long.
Well, that's the show, man. That's comedy. Here's the two things I want to say. That one, I think that's what's been a major cool point, I guess, for the show, is that it's serialized. So like, hopefully it's funny, right? Hopefully people think it's funny. But then at the end of each episode, you're like, I want to know what happens next. Like, you care about all the twists and the turns. And that's why I like Extras and BBC Office so much, is because like you're invested, and also like these shows that we're referencing, things go wrong. And you're rooting for it. That way, the tiniest victory is like so huge. That way, TechCrunch disrupts at the end of the first season isn't the be all end all, but it's like finally, it's that victory that they're winning at something. Yeah. So I don't know who's to say. Maybe there is a show if Richard gets his $8 billion, and then you see him become Russ Hanneman. But I have a feeling they'll want to prolong that as long as possible. Okay. Just wait for it.
Well, and he's usually like, the moral center in trying to.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Jon Snow. Like Jon Snow, like just like an incredible moral compass. Yes. Like, oh
my God. But things sort of took a turn in Sunday's episode, where he was faced with a decision of, do we look at and frames stuff.
Fight fire with fire.
Fight fire with
fire. Walk the left-hand path.
Yeah. That was a good episode, and talk about going that way with him going the left side.
Well, I loved it because Richard is a guy that's like trying to do the right thing. Like his whole mission statement was like, we're not going to be like the other guys. That's like what happens. I think episode 1, season 1. Like let's think different. Wait, that's Apple. It's like he's gonna be the guy. And sometimes like when you constantly do that, when you're constantly, Jon Snow, you find that you get pushed around and manipulated, and like people take advantage of that. Like in business, you're the honest guy, you get taken advantage of. And it's not like he's like burning down a preschool or anything, but he is just sort of being like, you know what? Yeah, okay. And that when that happens at the end of that episode, when he's sort of like, there to meet those N-frame guys, I was, when I saw it, I was like, yeah, Richie.
I like when he goes to the porn conference.
Oh, and all the placards of all the porn websites.
That was so hilarious.
So you probably saw about, I don't know, 8 of them.
Yeah.
There were 40 to 50. They should sort of just like release like HBO on their Instagram, being like, here are some other candidates that did not make it.
Cool extra feature.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of great ones, but I don't know if we want to talk about them here.
Yeah, we probably can't.
A little racy.
I
said box office, sweetheart, as a network.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
We have a question from Twitter. What is your favorite company name created in Silicon Valley? Which is kind of applies to that last question.
Yeah, sure. Fingered teen. I thought, we weren't supposed to say them. Shoot. Oh no.
No.
Yeah, I thought this was for the internet.
Is that it?
You can log on right now. Well, I don't know. You know what? Geez, what's standing out? I mean, I did love those a lot, but like they're all. Hilarious. I guess what was funny about it is when it was in first season, because they were trying to reference, Ghoulie Bib or whatever. They did okay, whatever, and they were saying how it was so hard to make up text signing names because they would try and get rights and they'd find out that it was already taken.
It was taken.
So like Tech You Wonk and like Giggy Splice and on nonsense, that's already out there.
That's already out there.
Yeah, and what is it? Oh yeah, I did kind of like a presentation in San Fran kind of recently, and like some companies were winning some awards. I don't know what they do. I'm sure they're a great company. They won an award, so I'm not trying to throw them under the bus or anything. I think one company was called Lynda.com. It had nothing to do with anyone called Linda. But, they also share a web domain with like Beverly.org and like, Tabitha.ca.
Are you sort of viewed like a rock star when you go up there?
Like, not a rock star.
Come on.
No.
But are people sort of coming up to you like, and you don't even know who they are because you're like,
well, I guess, yeah. People come up and say hi and stuff like that, which is really cool. It's all been positive. I have had situations where people are like lining up for photos or selfies or something, and then like someone comes up saying, like, anyway, who are you? And I'm like, why were you lining up to get a photo? What's your deal? Why is your life such a bummer? Like, there's a line, gotta get in it.
It's like Mark Zuckerberg inviting you to all his parties.
Mark. Oh yeah. Oh,
have you met the dog?
Mark. With Jeanette the dog. No, I don't know. Mark and I haven't spent time together. I've met the Winklevosses. I met Notch, the guy who made Minecraft. I went to a party at his house here in the Beverly Hills. It's the most expensive house in Los Angeles, and he beat out Jay-Z and Beyonce for it.
Stop.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Because that video game, you probably heard of it, Minecraft.
I have heard of it. I have.
I know it's not Ding Dong Mario Brothers, but Aladdin's Journey or whatever the heck. But yeah, so because it caught on like wildfire, like when he commercialized it and you could buy it, and I don't think I could be talking out my butt, but I think there was no sort of like third-party publisher. Like the money kind of went straight to him. And if you do the math, like if something costs $5, $10, and 20 million, 40 million people buy it, you're in a stratospheric level of wealth. Yeah. And he was a super nice guy. It felt like a party that was out of my TV show, but it was great. Did it? Kind of.
But Kid Rock wasn't there.
Kid Rock wasn't there, but like a really cool, like beautiful DJ was there.
Oh,
and like,
interesting.
Yeah, whatever. I loved it. Thank you, Notch, for inviting me. Again, Notch, it was great. I had a wonderful time.
You mentioned a word that made me think of another hilarious episode that spotlighted Richard and his hilarious bad timing, but the reference to the two buttholes, which I can't say the other word that you use in the show.
Reference to the two buttholes? Stop. No, what?
You don't remember?
Reference to the two buttholes.
The end.
Buttholes.
Oh my God.
What happens in the buttholes? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Apologies.
I wasn't sure
Namaste.
if this was a bit.
Namaste.
I was like, wait, really?
Yeah. That was a few weeks ago. I mean, you have to understand, I shot that
a
while ago.
Yeah.
But yes. Arigato. Yes, buttholes. What did you want to know about
I don't
them?
even remember anymore.
Cool. Very, very cool. So that was that question. Hey, do you remember the two buttholes? Yeah. Cool. Next question. Did Sutherland put you up to this?
So getting fired later today because of this interview.
No, we just want to go over the parts of the show that I remember, and then move on. Hey, do you remember doing the baseball thing in Giants Stadium? Cool. Yeah, I remember it.
Oh my God. This is totally got way off.
Can you remember what the butthole thing was? No, that's great. See, I couldn't remember it. Now you can't remember the question. Just before we were giving these water, someone was like,
oh my God.
Here you go. Here's your water. That's a hilarious roofie joke.
And now I don't even have a segue to talking about you being on a cruise liner telling
cruise
jokes.
Line, yeah. Well, it wasn't really telling jokes. Like, this was, back in the day when I'm still trying to figure it out and hustle and stuff. I was in Chicago doing improv and stuff, and I was actually contemplating moving back to Canada and being a graphic designer or something. That's something just different. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I took the Second City, famous comedy institution, has a deal with Norwegian Cruise Lines where they provide entertainment for them on some of their main shows, big ships. And so you do like old, archive sketch stuff. It was fun, very interesting, surreal experience.
Right.
But yeah, I was at sea for too long, like 4 months. I'd poured out in New York City, and for the first 3 months, it was like over the summer, and it was like a Caribbean cruise. Like we'd go to Bahamas, we'd go to Bermuda, Nassau, I meant to say, and like a private island that Norwegian Cruise Lines owned, which was great. and that was like, I mean, no slight, but like it was like working class Jersey Bronx, New York guys coming on there. And like I got my first taste of like real Guidos with a haircut, and they're like, holy, you before the show you'd be anonymous, and then you do the show and like the whole ship would have seen it. And so they'd be like, oh, Second City, let me buy a shot. Oh, you're so funny, bro. Don't have me sleeping with the fishes. But it was really fun. And then the interesting part about it, that was for the first 3 months. And for last month, we switched tours, and we did like the fall tour, to watch the leaves change. But I actually loved it. But it went New York, and then to like Boston, and then Bar Harbor, and then like places in Quebec and Newfoundland and stuff. And suddenly, instead of like teenagers getting caught on the teen disco, like having sex, and like people being crazy, it just turned into no one under 40, everybody in bed by 9. They played Andrew's Sisters on the PA. It was interesting. But I really got to see some of the treasures of the Maritimes. I did. I went spelunking in Newfoundland.
Did your background in improv make it difficult on a show like this? Because like there's so much jargon. Like, were you afraid of playing around with any of like the dialogue or anything like that?
We have someone, security, I think there's someone. I'd rather just wait till after. No, I'm just kidding. I suddenly make it really uncomfortable. No, I think this is over. No, the jargon, I can't say I'm like fluent in what it is, because they have like, they'll have, for example, like coding books as set decoration, and I'll flip through them. I'm just like, this is just nonsense to me. I can't, but at the same time, I can't plead total ignorance. Like I've been into this. I'm into computers. I've been into it since I was a wee boy. I've tried to teach myself some basic things, and obviously given up because I'm not smart. But But we also have a guy, like a consultant on set at all times to make sure that when there's a chunk of like, you know, almost like doctor procedural drama stuff, that he knows that at least we somewhat get it. Like, here's why you can't emphasize that word, or here's why you can't really change that word. Because you know, so, and you know, I am interested. It's really cool. Like he is really a champion of compression. You know, his whole thing is like, and it's not untrue. We're going to run out of like physical space to store data, because even with these like server farms, like we exponentially create more data. And so we're going to have to at one point, unless we just start like limiting data creation, is create some sort of executable, searchable compression.
See,
dude, don't you get it?
Dude.
And then people really in that field, they're going to hear that and be like,
he doesn't
wrong.
know what he's talking
he has
about.
No idea what he's talking about. What a putz.
What are the perks of being on an HBO show?
Oh, bro, the parties.
The parties?
No,
yes, the parties.
That's fine, but I'm not a real party dude. Let's see. Being on an HBO show, I don't know. I would think the major perks come at the creative, like show runny, writery level, because they get freedom. Like HBO is just like, cool, do what you do. We like it. You know, they may have a few notes here and there, but from what I've heard, all those notes are like spot on. And it's just more sort of like, we want to create an environment where you guys can do what you do, which I feel sometimes isn't the case on some other, but what do I know? Yeah, this is honestly like, it's probably gonna sound like a little kiss assy, but like, this is a dream. It's always been a dream to be on HBO. Like top 3, like Moby Dick, Hunting the White Whale dreams. So to be on a comedy on HBO that I get to be like, you know, have a substantial role in, directed and by Mike Judge and Alec Berg, and have all these people involved, this is like, it's crazy. It's awesome.
Do you have any idea of where season 3 is headed? Have they started?
I think everyone will have a pretty good idea come the last episode of season 2.
And you guys shot a little bit in Silicon Valley this season, right? A little bit?
A little bit. Like the first episode when I was at the Giant Stadium. Okay, that was it. It's more than the last season, where the only shot was the camera was on top of a building, and I got in a car and I drove by on the highway, and I leaned out and I puked. And then it panned up to the San Francisco skyline. We flew out to do that one.
Next season.
I mean, maybe even a couple of scenes.
Yeah, maybe a couple scenes. Crossing fingers. Well, we look forward to the last few episodes that we have, Thomas. And thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
I hope it wasn't too painful. I'm still wrapping my head around some of it.
I don't know.
You finished your water.
Not really. I will now. Please watch me finish my water.
If you guys want to catch more of our Emmy Contender chats, head over to latimes.com.
All right, guys.